Hello, everyone. Good morning, afternoon, or
morning.
evening, wherever you are in the world.
Good afternoon.
Good morning.
Yes. Good afternoon, Anita in Italy.
Well, it's afternoon for me too.
What's that?
Officially,
It's afternoon. Yeah,
it's
just
noon.
afternoon, right? In Chile?
Just noon, right now.
Just noon.
Yes.
Just noon. Yeah.
1 minute after, so it's afternoon.
It
We're
is.
good for
It's
it.
technically
Yes,
afternoon. So that's great. And it's
Definitely.
morning for us, so it's very cool. Yes, our L's have been very multinational, multi-global, multi-time zone. So it's great. So multitasking, very multi.
Awesome.
We've been very multi this year. Yes. So good morning, everyone, and welcome to another Saturday Roundup. But it's not just any Saturday Roundup; it's a special one because our focus today will be the wrap-up of the Secret Santa Challenge, the 2024 edition, which was just great. And I'm joined by 3 of my 4 co-lead elves. Kathy Nava is our 5th one, and I don't see her yet, but she is on the West Coast, so it is 3 hours earlier for her. So it's early in the morning. So she will probably join us a bit later, I'm guessing. But if not, we thank her for her service in joining us. And hello to everyone who's watching in the chat, because this, of course, is our regular Saturday Roundup time. And so who do we have? So Patty was the first one to comment and to join us at 9:14. So he's been here for 45 minutes waiting for us to get her.
He's been providing some stats for us
He's
today.
been doing some great stats. Yeah, look at this. So he did some stats on the age distribution of the elves, in case you were wondering. So I'm in the largest category, the 60s. I will admit, I was born in the 60s. So there's more of us in the 60s than in the others. It's kind of a nice bell curve, actually. Graph that. But
I'm barely. I was born in 59, so I feel like a 60s kid. But you know,
oh yeah. Well, I won't ask anyone else to out their age. And
you know what else is outing their ages? I don't care.
I think they're younger than us, Danita. Yes.
I think most of them are younger than us. Yes.
Oh well, I wouldn't have put you in 59. I would have put you much earlier. Yeah, younger, born later.
It's all in the genes. It's all in the genes. It's all in the genes.
There we go. But I think the conclusion is that we do need more young genealogists. Well, and Christine is working on that. She's got a budding genealogist, a new WikiTree.
Maybe. We'll see. We'll see where we end up in another year.
So who else has joined us? Dee has joined us. Ozzy. Staying awake is hard, I think, is what she's trying to type. Typing is hard up here. And Fiordalisi is here from a chilly Cleveland. And she said hi to, woof to Finnegan. That's nice of her. Christine Miller is here. Doris Lanier. Don Marie is here as well. Patricia Jackson from Kentucky. Hillary from Wales. Hey there, Hillary. Nice to see you again. Beata from Austria. Jinx is here. Hey there, Jinx. Murray Maloney from nearby. Soren Jensen is here. Maven too is here. Yoke. Chris Wine. June Butka. Hi there, June. Happy you made it as well. Celebrate every year. Fran Pickett here. Oliver Stegen is here. Hi there. Greetings from Germany. Excellent. And greetings for everyone else as they arrive. And sorry if I've missed you on here, but and welcome to everyone who's watching it on the replay. So welcome to everyone. So my fellow elves, how are you feeling after 2 weeks of hard work?
Exhausted.
Yeah, but
I'm exhausted just watching the elves work.
Oh my goodness!
Right.
Trying
to
keep
a lot of
up
things
with
going
them.
on.
It's just impossible.
When we were doing our 12 days and we had the live cast every day, is how in depth people went into trying to. It wasn't just like, okay, let's go find something and be done, right? Everybody really went into depth, and if they could find more information, they did. So we had some really great showcases of what our WikiTree genealogists are like and what we're up to. So I thought that was really great.
Yes. Actually, Tia, who was with us yesterday, is in the chat. She really showed us the journey, as we were talking, the journey of the elf, what we go through, how deep we go, and that we never give up. That's our lesson. We're really good.
We are.
We're really good elves.
Yeah, we're very proud of them all. Yeah, they did so much work. Yeah, and as Christine had mentioned, like we had a Secret Santa Discord channel, which where all the conversation was going on, and it was so hard to follow the conversations because there were so many conversations, so many back and forth, and sharing of records. Someone couldn't get a record, and then someone popped it in, added it, and then actually added citations as well. So, like, it was fantastic. So anyway, we're going to talk in depth about the Secret Santa Challenge. But before we do that, I do want to go back and talk about the regular segments. So those who are joining and maybe didn't take part in the Secret Santa Challenge and are here for our regular parts of the program, let me just talk about what we normally talk about briefly. So there was a question of the week. And we're not going to go through any of the answers, but I just want to mention what the question was. And the question was, what improvements would you like to see on WikiTree in 2025? And there were 58 answers to that. So, and of course, the post is still open. So if you read through these and there's something that you would like to see on WikiTree in 2025 and it's not there, then click that answer this post and add your suggestion, because WikiTree is a global community and it's all about WikiTreeers, and so your opinion counts and we'd like to hear it. But it references a post that was done by Chris Whitten, which I recommend strongly that everyone read because it's very, very good. It talks about lots of things. I'm just putting a link to it in the chat there, and all of these links will be in the YouTube post. Click on more and you get a list of all these ones. So if they're not already there, they will be there later, okay, when Azure does the update on that. So Chris has written a letter about WikiTree's past, present, and future, and it's very, very good. There's lots of neat things in there. He talks about that we've lost many contributors to WikiTree because, as genealogists, we know that third date that we always look for in a profile will eventually come to us all, the death date. And what you may not know is that we actually have a place where we can remember members. And so there's a GGG post about members that we've lost in 2024. And so you might want to check that out and see that. In fact, there's a whole place where we remember our former members. And he's got some stats. I love some stats, so don't gloss over that. Read that carefully. Of course, one of the things we talked about was the redesign of WikiTree, the profile pages, and all the rest of that. And that is going slower than Chris had hoped, or the whole WikiTree team has hoped. But this January, they're hoping that some of that will roll out first to a smaller group of testers, and then app developers and those who work with the browser extension. I'm pointing up because it's at the top of my monitor. The browser extension. They'll have to do some work on that, but eventually that will come released to everyone, and so that's something to look forward to. One of the other things he mentions is a completeness indicator about profiles and how we can measure whether they're completeness or not. And there is actually a GGG post about that, so that you might be interested in checking that out. Anyways, and then he ends on a very positive note, as it always does. So I recommend strongly you check that out from him. Then, of course, we have a Connect-a-thon coming up. So that's a big event in January, so sign up for that. The profiles of the week this week are centenarians. We just lost U.S. President Jimmy Carter, who was, I believe, the oldest president, the oldest living president. I don't think any other president made it to 100, so he's that's one interesting stat about Jimmy. So we lost him this week, and so the profiles are all other centenarians, people who've lived 100 or more years. So that's kind of cool to check that out. Our member of the week was Nicole Nunes, and she's got a lovely interview that's available here, so you can read that out. And we may invite her to join us next week. We'll see how that goes. And then also coming up is the WikiTree Challenge, the first WikiTree Challenge. The WikiTree Challenge we do once a month now, and the one for January will be fellow Canadian Catherine Lake Hogan. So they're still taking signups. The challenge officially begins on Thursday, so you have still a few more days to sign up and then join us on Thursday for that. There will be still photo of the week or photo out of the 12 photos, so the photo of the month, and the theme for the photo of the month for January will be grandparents. So keep that in mind. And also there will be the profile makeover, and we will start featuring those starting next week, hopefully, right, Vicki?
Mm-hmm. Yes, of course.
So that's something else to think about. And the last G2G post that I'm going to mention before we jump back into talking about the Secret Santa Challenge is this news post about blogosphere. And so it's sort of a Chris Ferriolo, who is a blogger himself. He has a blog, All Roads Lead to Haverhill. But there are
Haverhill.
You
haven't? Yes.
Haverhill.
And he's in the chat.
He's in the chat. He'll correct me. Yes. Haverhill, not Haverhill.
I
know
learned
it's
that
not
a couple of years
Haverhill.
ago.
I knew it wasn't
No.
Hill. It's Hill. Haverhill. Okay. But he's also in a blog post. He posts links to other WikiTreeers who have blogs, and so he's done some there. And he's welcomed if other WikiTreeers are bloggers and would like to be added to this list. Please do so. Maybe 2025 is the year in which you are going to blog. It could be because the year 2025 is such a cool number, and you might want to just blog about that. Because 2025, did you know, is a perfect square. It's 45 squared, which is cool. And 45 itself is a cool number because that's the number. If you add the numbers from 1 to 9, you get 45. So 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6 plus 7 plus 8 plus 9, add that all up and then square it, and you get 45. And the other cool thing, and thanks to Murray for feeding me with all these facts, Murray Maloney, you can also, the sum of cubes, so 1 cube plus 2 cube plus 3 cubes all the way up to 9 cube gives you 2025. So there's so many cool things about 2025, numerically speaking, and I hope that it's also a wonderful year for all of us WikiTreeers. So there we go. We will end the broadcast, the roundup, with our regular what's up next for the week. So we'll do that at the very end. But now we're going to turn it over to Secret Santa talk. And I think we're going to start with, are we going to start with the poem?
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, do you want me to show the poem as we read it?
Oh, I don't know about that.
Okay, I will not show. I will stop sharing my screen. But Christine put together a lovely poem for Elfness, and between her and I, we will serenade you all. We're not singing it. We're just going to recite.
No singing.
No singing. Take it away, Christine.
All right. 'Twas the night before Elfmas. 'Twas the night before Elfmas, when all through the house no devices were whirring, not even a mouse.
The wishes were sent via Google with care in hopes that the Wiki Elves soon would be there. WikiTreeers were nestled all snug in their beds while visions of brick walls danced in their head.
And Greg in his scarf and I in my hat had just settled in for another Zoom chat. When out on the server there arose such a clatter, I sprang to my screen to see what was the matter.
Away to my email I flew like a flash, cleared out the history and emptied the cache. The screen, now alight with its LED glow, gave a luster of midday to my keyboard below.
When what to my wondering eyes did appear, but a new chain in my inbox perfectly clear. As I drew in my head and was turning around, a G2G post made a ping sound.
I clicked it to open and see who had written. I knew in a moment it must be Chris Whitten. More rapid than eagles, the elves did appear, and he beckoned and called them from far and from near.
Come England and Poland, calling Germany too, Italy, Canada, the whole lot of you. To the top of the tree, break down that brick wall. Now source away, source away, source away all.
The elves were all dressed in cozy red flannel, as Julie added each to the Secret Santa channel. And then in a twinkling, I heard on Discord the chatter and sharing and encouraging words.
Off to a database the coursers they flew, with sites full of sources and Aowen too. The elves were so busy they went straight to their work and filled many wishes. It was no time to shirk.
From transcriptions to translations, they found many words and changed them to English from something they heard. Translations from nations from all around the earth revealed dates and places of deaths and of birth.
So many records they tried to describe, amazing discoveries opened eyes wide. Elves Patty and Tia, Celia and Jinx scoured the records and filled in the chinks.
Danny spricht Deutsch et Julien en français. A true global effort helped us get here today. Now Elfmas is over, the records will keep. Now is the time to let all the elves sleep.
But I heard them exclaim ere they turned off the light, Happy Elfmas to all, and to all a good night.
Wow.
Very good.
Wow. Amazing.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Christine.
Wow.
That was great. Great.
Amazing.
With my Arlo in the background.
Oh, Arlo, if you wanted to. We could have
It's a
added
reindeer.
that. Yeah, he's a reindeer. Yeah, like oh.
Wow, what a surprise.
Uh-huh.
That was awesome.
So that was good.
And thanks to Greg, we finished that at like 9:30 this morning.
9:30. Yeah, we finished it off. Yes. Which, ignoring some of the other stuff that we were planning on doing today.
Yep.
Yes. So anyway, so that was fun. Thank you, Christine, for that. So I suppose we could post that in the free space page so that other people
yes.
could read
Please
it.
do.
Yeah, just the fonts and the colors. It's all kind of a mishmash. It's just got to be pretty before it goes out to the world.
Oh, I like Celia's comment there. And getting antlers for the dog. That's great. So I wanted to start with saying thanks, but we already sort of started we already said thanks to the elves at our sort of welcoming and stuff. But really, the elves did such a fantastic job this year. Such a fantastic job, in fact, that the elves don't want to stop. So by popular demand, we're leaving the categories in place. So the categories will stay on profiles. And I'm going to talk about how the categories work in a moment. But yes, so the categories will stay in place and they will morph as we work through them. But if elves are working on a profile and they're not, or on a wish and they're not quite finished, they would just want another day to work on it, you can do that. Now, you don't have to. You've worked 2 hard, long weeks, and you're welcome to retire and say, I've done as much as I can. I've put the research notes there. That's it. And that's totally fine. But if you are obsessive and really need and really want to go back and finish off something, you're welcome to do so. We're not going to stop you. And there are, as we'll talk about, there are a number of wishes. I mean, this was a huge number of wishes that came in this year. And in fact, there were more wishes than we could even put in the categories, because some of the wishes were not doable. Some of them were pre-1500 or profile protected, or there's a few that actually involved living people, so we couldn't tackle those. Good morning, Elf Kathy. Welcome.
Hi, Kathy.
Morning. Late.
That's okay. We know it's very early for you over in the
Very
West
good for you.
Coast. So there was more than we could even put in our wish list for elves. But there was over 100 that we couldn't quite get to yet. So some elves will want to chip away at those and tackle those throughout the year. So that's a possibility now that we're opening up to. But let me share with you the categories and how that worked, because for those who weren't elves, that might be interesting, and to see how it works. So this was something new we did this year. Up until this year, the way we organized all the wishes and how the elves worked on it is we made a giant free space page. And I say giant because it scrolled on forever and ever, okay? I think it was over 200 last year, but that was unwieldy then. And with the number we had this year, it would have been crazy. So it wasn't me who came up with the idea. I don't know if it was Christine or Danita first who suggested it, or might have been Vicki.
I am a bit of a category nut. So if I can make a category for something and file it in a spot where I can find it, that is what I'm going to do. And I think we had started with categories last year, but this year we broke them down even further. So, and we had a discussion about which categories we wanted. So we started with the wish received. Obviously, we wanted to put all of the ones that we received into the first category. And then once an elf decided to work on it, it was up to the elves then to change the category names. And the first one is the wish in progress. So there are still, I think, quite a few in each category. But as you're doing your wrap-ups and your cleanups and closing out your work, feel free to move that to the category that it needs to be in.
Mm-hmm. So then we figured we needed a category. So after you've done work on it, but maybe it's not quite complete, what would you call it? And I think it was Vicki who said, well, what about like from the Christmas Carol, checking it twice, the idea of Santa's list and checking it twice. So we came up with the idea, wish, check it twice, so that another elf could look at it and give it some loving or some validation, or adding more sources or more depth to it. And then it's either the wish is either complete, or if it's brick walled, the person's done as much as they can and they just can't go any further. Then this brick walled category was just added recently. And then the other category that we used is every elf was invited to put this category on their profile, and that allowed us to see how all the elves were related to each other.
So I still don't think I put myself in there.
You didn't?
Oh,
we were too busy doing other stuff in the background. I did actually get myself in there.
Everybody else.
Oh, okay. But so those were sort of the categories. But Vicki, why don't you tell us the stats now? How many are now in each of the categories, and how well did we do progressing?
Yeah, we kind of tweaked the numbers. We're always checking changes in our wishes. But we have a category or a subgroup of wishes, which we call DNA list, that were tackled by mostly Emma, for what I know. So now we consider those wishes into the wishes in progress. So now we have 65% of wishes that have some kind of progress. And those wishes are a total of I didn't get this number, but it's 236.
36.
I'm just calculating. Yeah, those are the wishes that have some progress, and the ones that have not been picked yet, because we know our elves are going to work on them and starting to take a look, are 129. So and we also moved wishes that are brick walled and that have enough research, or two elves were working on it, and they said no more can be found, that is a wish complete for us. So we count now 87 wishes complete. Totally
And those
complete.
numbers have changed in the last hour since I looked at it.
Mhm.
Because when I looked
Yes.
at it yesterday, the wish received was at 125, and this morning it was at 120, and now it's down to 118.
Yeah, 118.
So great. We have 65%. It's a lot for, and we have 110 elves who joined, but I'm not sure how many are actually working.
Mm-hmm.
That we haven't counted.
No, we didn't actually track that. We didn't take attendance in the workshop.
Oh, yeah. But it's a great progress.
I didn't get much done doing, trying to help out with individual profiles because we were doing other things in the background the whole time. I will point out that the ones that are in the haven't been picked up yet are pretty tough. So, these are going to be things that the reason why they haven't been picked probably is someone was going, oh, I'm not sure if I can do that. Oh, that one's hard. So if there's people out there who like a challenge, looking for those that are still there that haven't been picked up means that there was probably something challenging about it that we just didn't have time in 12 days to be able to work on. So I encourage people to take a browse at these categories and see what you think. And maybe something will jump out that you can help out with.
I would also encourage people to, if you see something and you look at it and you say to yourself, oh, there's nothing that can be found on this, please leave a research note on that profile explaining that the records aren't available for that time period or whatever the case may be, so that at least we know that someone has looked at it. I know that a lot of well-seasoned WikiTreeers submitted wishes for the elves this year, knowing that they have done so much research on their own and they're looking for a second set of eyes. So even though it looks daunting, sometimes people are just looking for that confirmation that, yes, indeed, they have hit that brick wall and nothing else is going to be discoverable on that wish or that profile.
Because that's an important, that's just as important of a conclusion in a lot of ways.
Absolutely.
as finding something for someone is just saying, you got it. This is tough. And maybe, as I always say, as AI starts indexing all this stuff, Family Search is coming up with all kinds of things that wasn't indexed before and wasn't transcribed before, and it was difficult to find anything in. We might be able to find some things, next year or the year after. So don't give up. Just keep at it.
That's right.
Yes, totally.
Excellent.
We have a question here from June. I'm not sure what you mean, June.
Do you add profile numbers to my wish? So if you filled out the Google form to create a wish, one of the things was to put in the WikiTree ID for the wish that was connected to the wish. So that was automatically added to these profiles. But if there are additional profiles that are connected to the wish, you could add that, I suppose. I don't know if that answers the question.
Do we want to show everyone the spreadsheet to see how the Google form populated the spreadsheet that we were working off of?
Sure. Let's see. Okay.
So that was another new thing that we did this year, was to use the Google form so that we could capture or try to capture all of the information that we needed in order to get the wishes out to the elves.
Yes, it's easier to collaborate on a spreadsheet and also to get stats. And I know you're not a fan of this, but I am. And you can sort and filter, so it's easier to get data and analyze.
Right.
Okay. So here is their spreadsheet and all the wishes.
So when we're sending out the form and you're filling it in, we capture your name and your WikiTree ID so
Mhm.
that we can tell who is submitting the wish.
Mhm.
And some of these were, I don't know if it was a problem with the Google form or if it was a problem with just user
Instructions.
error. Some of them didn't come through with like the hyphen. So a couple of them had to be edited so that they would function.
Mhm.
And then we were putting in one type of wish so that we
Mhm.
could sort out the ones with the DNA, because we have Emma and Linda doing the DNA wishes on their own. They're usually separate from everybody else.
Mhm.
So you won't see those wishes show up in the categories. And then the wiki ID of the profile that you are putting your wish on. This was the biggest one that that we had issues with. Some of them, and again, I don't know if it was because of the Google form or what happened, but some of them just ended up being numbers and not a profile ID at all. So there was a little bit of work. There were a couple that I wasn't able to establish what profile we were trying to go after. So that was unfortunate. And then in the location, we asked for where your person lived. And some of those locations got really big. So I think next year we're going to try for just the country, or if you're in the States, just the state, because overwhelmingly, I think that a lot of the elves work geographically. So it's easy to run down the list and see and pick out, like for Chris, pick out all the Italian ones,
Mhm.
or for Patty, all the Irish ones, or
Mhm.
for Hillary, all the English ones, and they can group those together.
Right. So do you think that sometimes, like this one here that I've got highlighted, Heron Breitungen, do you think because that's so specific that may have turned some people off because they thought, well, I don't know anything about that specific place?
Right.
But you know,
And
Mhm.
I'm sorry. The good thing about using the spreadsheet is that you can search into the spreadsheet any word. So
Sure.
if you're interested in working in France, you just search for France, and you'll see every
Right.
field that
Mhm.
has the word
Right.
France.
Mhm.
But the next one underneath that, the one that Greg has highlighted, it says
Yeah.
Lower Saxony. So would somebody be looking for Saxony?
Yes.
No, so if someone was just looking for Germany, that one would have been missed, right? Germany or
Right.
Deutschland, that one would have been
Right.
missed because they wouldn't have found it. But
Mhm.
yeah, so we might come up with a way to be more programmatic about it next year. But this was great. This actually was my first year working on this, so I can't give a lot of feedback on how much better it was or worse than last year.
What?
But I know that I felt it worked really well for the things that we were trying to do.
Mhm.
I would like it to be as user friendly for as many elves as possible.
Mhm.
That's my
Yes.
goal.
I
Yeah.
saw many comments about elves that said, "I love the spreadsheet," and
Yes.
so I'm really satisfied with that, because it was a challenge. Something, it's never easy to do something new. People always complain and
Mhm.
feel uncomfortable, but it was really good.
Yeah. And then we added, or was the projects, was that on the form? I think it was on the form, wasn't it? No?
No,
No, it
That was
was
something we
for
added, right?
us.
I did that.
You did that. Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then these are all things that we added afterwards, links, so we could automatically jump to the wisher and to the profile, and then track which the elf put their name in here if they were working on one, and then sometimes they left elves, and then there's the categories and the summary at the end. So yeah, the Google spreadsheet was an excellent addition as well, and it worked nicely in conjunction with the categories to help organize the whole dealio. And I saw Melanie had a comment there. Some of the wishes were also large in scope and not specific to just one, and so did require. So yeah, it's funny. It's like some of the wishes were so varied, right? There was those large ones, and then some were just, they just wanted one record.
Melanie is a hero because she picked up the one wish. Somebody, I can't remember who it was now, was looking to trace back to the Mayflower.
Oh,
Really?
And so they had several grandparents, but not close enough to the Mayflower. And Melanie took that on, and not researching one line, but multiple lines, trying to trace somebody back to that time frame. So a lot of work on her part.
Right. Okay. So what else? I'm trying to think where we are next.
I can do a little
Wanna do
summary on the
summary on
yeah.
the 12 days? Okay.
All right, so our 12 days of Elfmas. If nobody's seen the videos, there's a video for every day. Day 1 was Wish 23. 123, it was Elf Melissa worked on the profile of Margaret Alma Davis Mills. Day 2 was 2 wishes, Wish 229 and 288. The first one was the wishee was Chris Orm for Jesse Wilson Crossley. I had worked on that. I picked it up after Liz Brown did some work. And then Wish 288 was Elf M. Barr working on Wish E. M. Burr's wish, which was very interesting to watch. She had a lot of information there. Day 3 was the tour of the library from Kathy, which we pre-recorded for Christmas, which was great. Day 4 was Wish 48. That was for Tina Gregg Flincher. That was Elf Greg. That was your work and all.
Which went over time.
Yeah, well, these things happen. Day 5 was for Jerry Canelli, and our birthday boy, Elf Chris, talked about finding records in Italy. Day 6 was Wish 330 for Diane Deering, and that was Elf Danny's presentation on all things Germany, which was amazing as usual. He's fantastic. Day 7 was Wish 33 for Elf Jinx, and that was Elf Mel Mason did a presentation on Gertrude Hilliard, also known as Phyllis DeBerry, which was fantastic. Lots of great pictures, great presentation. That was a lovely one to watch as well. Day 8 was Wish 282 for Lucy. And Elf Patty went through Irish genealogy with us and all of the John Hogans that he looked at. Day 9 was Wish 243 for Joan Davis, and that was when we had Julian on talking about French genealogy and Jean-Baptiste Aiguier, which was a fantastic presentation again. Day 10 was Wish 281 for John Tyner, talking about Dave Jones, and that was Elf Hillary talking about Welsh genealogy, which was fantastic. Day 11 was for J.T. Frost, and Elf Celia was talking about Theodore Varna. That was, again, another amazing presentation. And then yesterday, our last day of Elfmas was Wish 30 for Judy, and the profile was Amanda Smith, and Elf Tia went through just an amazing presentation. Everybody raved about. Judy was able to join the LiveCast and was just astounded at what Tia was able to find. And it was great. Every day was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had, like I mentioned before, a bunch of wishes that were specific to DNA. And what I did with those was I put them in a free space page and just turned that over to Emma, who works with DNA. And I spoke to Emma briefly about, what are some of the things that we need when we talk about DNA wishes. And she needs to have enough DNA matches from the family branch, and enough of those DNA matches have to have trees so that you can identify the ancestor in common in the trees. So if you have DNA matches with somebody, but nobody's trees are built out, it's going to be a little bit difficult. And then she had also talked about which which company is the best to work with. And she said Ancestry is definitely the first one that she looks at because they have, and it's all about the numbers, they have the biggest database. So she's more likely to find matches going through Ancestry than the other companies. We talked about 23andMe, and she mentioned that they had a recent data breach. So because of that, they've shut down many of their features, which makes them then not as useful as some of the other databases. She said FTDNA has a smaller database, so it's not particularly useful because there's not a lot of people in it. She said MyHeritage is good if you're looking for matches that are currently living in Europe. So that's her, after Ancestry, she uses MyHeritage.
Mm-hmm.
So we had several that she was looking for more, that were looking for more information. Louise Morgan had sent in a wish trying to confirm her Indigenous DNA in West Virginia and looking for Cherokee ancestors. I think Emma reached out to her. She might be able to consult with her, but it depends on what company that Louise is tested with. Trish Jordan had asked for help to understand her DNA relatives in her maternal grandfather's line, but she is with 23andMe. So if that's the only place that she's with, then Emma can't help her right now. Christina Milby had asked for help looking for information on her Adkins line. And she's with FTDNA, so Emma didn't have a lot of luck there, again, with a small database. And some people had asked just for, like, how do I use this information? It was kind of a broad question, and Emma wasn't really able to specifically help them. But if you still have questions about your wish and you didn't get any feedback, feel free to reach out to any of us, and we'll try to get you some help and maybe hook you up with some of the other WikiTreeers that assist with DNA. And then we had some that Emma was working on. Ambar had sent in a wish, and Emma did look at it, and they were hopeful, but the issue was that she's Puerto Rican, and there's a lot of endogamy, and everyone's related to everyone else at some point, and Ambar knows that. So sorting out the DNA into family branches was very challenging, and then finding records, of course, in the right time period was also a challenge. So I know that they've been talking, and I don't know that they were able to come to any conclusions on that one. Emma had reached out to other people looking for access to their DNA results so that she can help them out. I don't know if she got answers back from everybody, but she had sent requests to people. So if you do have a message in your inbox from Emma, please respond to her, and then she can help you out. There was one that we were all very interested in.
Oh.
And that was Brian Cowper's wish.
Oh, yes.
And he wrote, I would love to find my grandfather's family. My grandfather, Edward Cowper, was found wandering Waterloo Road in London in 1891 and taken by a policeman to the Lambeth poorhouse. He answered to the name of Willie, and he was thought to be about 3 years old. No one claimed him, and the school committee named him Edward Cowper. I can't find anything to suggest why, and he grew up in the poorhouse until he was discharged to the SS Auravia, sailing from Liverpool when he was 15 years old, following a term on the sail training ship Exmouth. So Emma says that in his circumstances, his highest match was only 67 centimorgans. So that equates out to either a fourth cousin or a half third cousin, but it doesn't give enough ancestors in common. So he could be related to any one of the 32 third great grandparents, and that becomes a needle in a haystack. So either they need more people within that family to test and get a higher centimorgan match. But for right now, that's where that one stands.
So I worked on his at first because Cowper, Cowper, is a name that's in my family tree, and then there was another name in his family tree, Blake, and so both of those are connected way back, early Ontario. And so I thought, well, what are the chances that maybe we're distant cousins? So I had done some research, and I found, and I added to that profile possible birth records of people who were called either born Edward Cowper, or born William Cowper, thinking that he was 3 years old. You know, most 3-year-olds kind of know their first and last name, hopefully. So wondering if, you know, the name that he was given, Edward Cowper, was actually based on what his actual birth name was. But I did the matches that Emma said that, you know, the highest one was pretty low. Some of his closest matches did not match with the family tree of the other 3 grandparents that he knew their origin of. And so I thought, well, maybe these 2 really high matches are from that 4th branch, from that unknown Cowper line. But as Emma and I chatted, they're actually too close to belong to them because they actually overlap one of the other grandparent lines. Which is too bad, because I did delve into it, and one of the grandmother of one of those matches, her maiden name actually was Cowper, Cowper, and thinking that's not a very common name. What are the chances that if his last name wasn't originally Cowper, but that he actually, you know, ends up having a Cowper in the family tree? So anyways, I did some background and found that Cowper back to the time where, you know, the grandparents could have been in, but
I mean, you never know where you're going to find something, right?
That's right, yeah. And in that Cowper line of the DNA match, so it would be a cousin of some sort. There was actually a First World War killed in action hero, a soldier who was killed in 1915 in the Great War. So it was an interesting, but unfortunately, as Emma pointed out to me, and I think I knew it, but I was denying the reality. I saw the last name, and I mean that's one of the first rules, just because the names match doesn't mean you're on the right track.
And then there were several wishes that Emma just couldn't help out with. A lot of them were in a time frame where you just can't. I think she said you can only go back maybe 3 generations, and then after that, you're it just doesn't work. It's not. So a lot of them were declined for being for those ancestors being too old or being too far back, or being of a lineage that she wouldn't be able to work with.
Well, we thank Emma for all that hard work, because that's a lot of work.
Absolutely.
And it's very specialized.
Absolutely.
Yes. So, I mean,
she takes it on every year with like our thanks and gratitude.
Yeah. I mean, it's really interesting. I enjoy doing it myself, but I'm not nearly as proficient as Emma. So that's great. And it was nice that there was a 1 or 2 others actually that were helping her as well, who had previously
Linda Chickering was helping her out, but I'm not sure. She said it was a little more difficult this year, I think, than last year. I think she had some good luck last year, and not so much of the luck this year.
Right. Yeah, that's great. So we had planned to talk about.
I do want to.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I do want to do a shout out to Linda for stepping up and helping Emma this year with the DNA.
Thanks, Kathy. Yeah. One of the things we were going to talk about is a smorgasbord of successes. and because there were so many success stories and wishes that were complete, that we didn't get a chance to profile on the 12 days of Elfmas. But I did not prepare any of those in advance, which is probably a good thing for the length of the broadcast. But are there any specific success stories that any of my other co-hosts that you want to share at this point that we haven't already talked about on the 12 Days of Elfmas or somewhere else previously? You don't have to, but if there is something, a burning one that you'd like to share.
Nothing springs to mind. I think that anything that was a success is hopefully in the correct category.
Mm-hmm.
Tia says Moses Manley.
Moses Manley.
Yeah.
She wants to say Moses Manley. Okay. Okay. Let's see. So I'm going to go over to here. Let me share my screen. I'm here at the category page, and I'm going to go to Wish Complete. Open up that category, and we can filter it now, right? Because I have the extension. There's Moses Manley. Look how fast that was to find. Thank you for whoever told me about filtering. Okay, submitted to the secret by Barnett. Who was Moses Manley's father or mother? Okay, it looks like we have a father there now. Adopted by Tia Balser. And look at all the places. So she looked in newspapers, she looked at the family database, the census, 3 years younger, and also born in Kentucky. Lived next door to, married to Sydney. Right age and household. And then we have an obit, analysis and argument. Like, she's so organized in the way she details what she's done. In 1830, Kentucky Song says there are 7 Manleys, but only one is in Oldham, and that's John Manley. This census accounts for an 8-year-old Moses. 1830, there are 3 other boys, no girls, and John's wife. Assuming this is the correct father, as there are no other options in the area and time frame, Moses is likely the oldest or second oldest child. Believed to be a circumstantial case without a smoking gun, it appears WikiTree has a procedure for an uncertain theory, which is to add the parents. Okay, and so she has added John Manley as an uncertain parent. There we go. So we've got the father. We don't have the final, we don't have definitive proof, but it's circumstantially looks like it there. So that's an interesting one. Good. And it looks like Judy was kind enough to write the bio. So if I go to the changes, we can see Judy Bramlage worked together on that.
Oh, yes, they were talking about this.
Right.
I do remember that now.
Okay. So we can appreciate the bio now. Okay. Served in the U.S. Army, married, and has children, and there's the census results. And last one. So thank you. Thank you for sharing that success story. Unfortunately, we also did have a number that were in the brick wall category. And I mean, these wishes were submitted by WikiTreers, WikiTreers who are genealogists who have worked hard on these. So if they're brick walls for experienced genealogists, it's going to be challenging for elves. So it's, but thanks for trying. I mean, a number of brick walls we jumped over, some we just sort of ran into. But everyone, we tried to add research notes of things we tried and whatnot. And that helps things because as Danita mentioned, you know, things are always evolving. There's always new databases. There's always new sources added to, you know, all of the different companies and platforms and areas around the world. And with AI improving, you know, and being able to index and find information, things will only get better. So the last thing in the Secret Santa wrap up is basically to talk about where we go from here. So we already mentioned that we're going to leave the categories open and on profiles. We are going to take out the hold requests that were there. They don't see them anymore if you go to a profile, but if you go to a profile where no one's touched it, then the text is there, so we have to remove that. And if any elves are on a profile and they notice that hold template is still there, please remove that and resave that. profile. So people can continue to work on these throughout the year. I believe there is definitely the desire to continue to do this. So there will be a 2025 version of the Secret Santa Challenge. I think we will probably continue to use the categories and a Google spreadsheet because that really worked well this year. So we're going to tweak some of that. Some of that is to have some more generic locations, but at least one person, I think Oliver in the chat, did say that they really like the specific locations because especially like for German records, for example, where you need to know the exact location to be able to find the right church records, you do need that specificity. So that has to be recorded somewhere, either in the profile or in the wish itself. So we'll have to figure out a way to marry both, like the convenience of having a generic location as well as the desire to have the location. We'll have to figure that logistics out. What other things were we talking about for next year? Or are we spitballing?
Anne was just asking if anyone other than an elf can work on the profiles, and absolutely, you don't need to be an elf to work on the profile. Anybody can pick up any of the profiles, leave research notes. That would be great. I think at some point, all of us, at some point in our research, would love a second set of eyes on a lot of our own profiles. So just, and maybe there was one example where somebody was working on a wish, and they were, I can't remember who it was, they were going to drive an hour.
Yes. To a
down
center.
to a center to get a death record. And everybody was like, well, why don't you just ask them if they've asked for the record, ask them if they've ordered it. Maybe they have it. Maybe there was no information on it. Maybe that's why they've got the wish. So they finally reached out, and the wishee, yes, it was Tia. Of course it was Tia. Tia the champion. And of course that wishee had never thought of doing that. Right? So sometimes you don't know what you can and can't do on your own, right? If you're, especially, I mean, a lot of us have been doing this for a long time, but a lot of us have not been doing this for a long time and aren't aware of all of the repositories that are available to us and to other people. So yeah, just reach out, have a look at other people. Discord is fantastic. Everybody's so helpful. And there's usually somebody around when you're asking questions too.
That's one of the things I really loved about the LiveCasts is people got to see. So a lot of them went into very detailed explanations about how they found records or what kinds of repositories they were looking at. And a lot of people don't know they exist. So if you have nothing better to do, go watch all those
I
LiveCasts.
almost wish that I had German or French ancestry.
I know.
So that But all of my lines dead end in the UK, so no such luck.
Yeah, I just love the variety of the 12, like all the different countries visited. That was just wonderful this year. So thank you to all of those people who shared all their expertise.
I would like to put out a wish, though. I wish for some Polish elves.
Oh, yes.
Please, if anybody can work on some Polish records. We have so many Polish wishes that didn't get touched. And if anybody out there has any experience with working in Poland, that would be very helpful.
Yeah, well, I would like to add for next year about our learnings from this process. For next year, we should use a Google form feature that limits the wishes or the forms that you can submit, because many people, I know you're in your innocence, maybe you said I could submit like 5 wishes and no one will know, but you give us so much extra work.
We
so
clued into that very quickly, and I can't Google Sheet as well as Vicki can Google Sheet, but those got sorted out very quickly. We started, our original Google Sheet was, I think, 471 wishes, which we pared down by at least 100 or more, based on ones that we couldn't find, or duplicate entries, or entries, multiple entries by the same elf. So whichever one you put in first was the one that we took, and anything after that got put in a different pile.
Yeah, they were blocked. And for the next year also, we want to, as a requirement for wishers, is that you have some work, at least a basic bio done, and research notes for elves.
Yes.
Because we have so many profiles starting from scratch. Nothing. So yes, please make things easier for
Give us a fighting
elves.
chance.
And I think that's a general rule for anybody. Like, if you're going to ask for help on a profile, and I do see posts on G2G all the time, like, oh, I'm looking for these parents of these people, or I'm looking for this, whatever. And you go to the profile, but there's nothing on that profile. We can't see all of the research that you've already done that's in your family tree program that you have on your computer or wherever it is, your piles of paper and notes and whatever. So it really helps out when you can put as much research as you have already done onto that profile, and then somebody else can see what you've done and then move on from there.
Yeah, and privacy matters too. If you have a private profile, we can work on it.
There was, yes, I did have that too, where I couldn't put the wish in the category because the profile in question was green locked or yellow locked.
Yes.
So help us help you.
Help us help you.
Yeah.
Yes. But it was a great, I think it was a great challenge. And the elves worked so well, and we look forward to doing it again. And
the Secret Santa channel isn't going anywhere on Discord. If you are in that channel, feel free to still work away, whatever it is. We keep that channel open, and it will be available all year long.
Excellent. Great. Well, thank you again, my fellow elves. Let's wrap up the roundup talking about what's coming up this week. So elves, you can take a break, or you can obsessively continue to work if you prefer, but you don't have to. But there are other things. If you want to switch gears, there's lots of other things that are going on this week. So there is an Ask Alesh session on Wednesday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll be hosting, and Alesh will be answering any questions you have about WikiTree Plus. And you can click on the G2G post and ask a question, and then we will answer it on Wednesday. Well, Alesh will answer it on Wednesday morning. So that's happening. There's the German Stammtisch, which happens the next day. A new member Q&A with Betsy on the 9th, which is Friday, I believe, 8 p.m. And then, of course, we have the weekend chat. And the regular things, the question of the week, 52 ancestors, data doctors. Challenges that are this week, of course, there's the 12 months of photos, and the theme we just found out last night hasn't made it onto the page here yet, unless it's been updated. Let me update it quick. See, nope, hasn't been updated. Will be grandparents. Appalachia has a challenge on profile completeness. Heroes for the Canadian Connect Canadian Project Notables. And then a bunch of others. Germany Integrators, Jewish Roots, Link Builders, Notables, and Sports and TV USA, Profile Makeover. Again, Vicki will talk about that next week. US Black Heritage Connecting. That project continues to do amazing work year in, year out. So that's great for that. And different ongoing events. Of course, we have the Connectathon I mentioned already. It's the invite is out there, so you can sign up for that, as well as the WikiTree Challenge with Catherine Lake Hogan. And here is your social media page. There we have. This opens up on the 9th, I believe it is. And the one name study this week will be Newton. The one place study this week will be Westward in Cumberland, England. And there we have Ask Alesh, the Q&A with Zoom. So it's a Thursday, right? With Betsy, it looks like Murray's joining as well. And is that Hillary? Who are the other two there? I can't.
It's Stephen.
Oh, is it Stephen? Okay.
Yes, Stephen and Hillary.
It is Hillary. Okay, there we go. The Connect-a-thon opens up. There we go. The Hall of Fame. We're talking about Eddie Rabbit. And then we will be back here, and Betsy will be joining us again next Saturday. So that's all we have to say about that.
Wow.
So thank you again. Look at it's only 11:06.
I think we did well.
We did very well
Yes.
to wrap up everything. Thank you to everyone, all of our L's.
Thank you.
Especially.
You did a great job. A special thank you to my co-lead elves, Christine, Vicki, Kathy, and Danita. Danita did warn us that she had to leave at 11, and we said, "Oh well, we'll be close to done by then."
Yep.
We can guarantee.
You cannot, as long as I start talking, you can't guarantee anything. Yeah. So, but anyways, thank you to all of my lead elves. Thanks to all of the elves. Thanks to all of everyone from WikiTree who participated and cheered us on, even if you didn't do any of the elfing yourself. And have a great 2025. Happy New Year to all of you. Hope it's a wonderful year for you all. Hope it's a wonderful year for WikiTree. And we'll see you next week. Bye.